Ladies and gentlemen, I want to start with a simple question. How do you react when things don't go as planned? Life is unpredictable. You'll face obstacles, setbacks, and moments of chaos. That's a guarantee. But here's something powerful to remember. You can't always control what happens to you, but you can always control how you respond. We live in a world where uncertainty is constant. Challenges arise, plans fall apart, and unexpected obstacles appear out of nowhere. But here's the truth. What happens to you is never as important as how you choose to respond to it. Most people react to adversity with frustration, anger, or panic. It's a natural instinct. When things don't go our way, our emotions take over. We raise our voices, we complain, we blame others, or worse, we freeze, unable to think clearly. But have you ever noticed that the most successful, most admired, and most respected individuals are the ones who remain composed even in the most difficult situations? It's not because they don't feel stress or pressure. It's because they've trained themselves to respond differently. Think about the moments in life where you've faced a challenge. Maybe it was a missed opportunity, a sudden setback, or a tough conversation that didn't go the way you expected. In that moment, you had a choice. You could react emotionally, or you could pause, take a breath, and approach the situation with a clear mind. That pause is where your power lies. When you react impulsively, you give control to your emotions. But when you take control of your response, you take control of the situation. The ability to stay calm isn't about suppressing emotions, it's about managing them. It's about recognizing that emotions are signals, not commands. Frustration might tell you something isn't right, but it doesn't mean you have to lash out. Fear might warn you of danger, but it doesn't mean you have to retreat. You get to decide what happens next. This is why training your mind is so important. It's easy to say, I'll stay calm next time, but if you don't practice it daily, when real pressure comes, your instincts will take over. Calmness is a skill that must be developed. It starts with small moments, taking a deep breath before responding to an email that upsets you, stepping back before reacting to criticism, choosing patience instead of frustration in traffic. These small moments build up over time, and soon, staying calm becomes second nature. When you stay calm, you gain clarity, and when you have clarity, you make better decisions. A calm mind sees solutions where others see problems. A calm leader inspires confidence when others panic. A calm person turns challenges into opportunities. The world doesn't need more people who react out of fear or frustration. It needs more people who can navigate uncertainty with wisdom and composure. So the next time you face an unexpected challenge, remember this: you are in control of your response. Take a breath, stay calm, because the way you respond to life's challenges will define the quality of your life. When pressure builds and chaos surrounds us, most people react with urgency, frustration, or fear. It's a natural response. The mind races, thoughts become scattered, and decisions are made in the heat of the moment. But the problem with reacting emotionally is that it blinds us to what truly matters. It narrows our vision, making it impossible to see beyond the immediate problem. Panic is not just a state of mind, it's a fog that clouds judgment and distorts reality. Clarity, on the other hand, comes from a calm mind. When we stay composed, we create space between the problem and our reaction. In that space, we gain perspective. We see options we didn't notice before. We separate what's urgent from what's important. Instead of getting lost in the chaos, we rise above it. That's why the ability to remain calm isn't just a personal skill, it's a competitive advantage. Think about a time when something unexpected happened, a crisis at work, a difficult conversation, or a sudden change in plans. If you reacted emotionally, how did that turn out? More often than not, reacting without clarity leads to regret. But when you take a moment to slow down, breathe, and think before responding, the outcome is completely different. The situation may be the same, but your approach changes everything. Calmness allows us to listen instead of just waiting to speak. It helps us understand the bigger picture rather than getting caught up in minor details. It prevents us from making decisions based on fear or frustration. And most importantly, it gives us control. Because when you are calm, you are in charge. Not the situation, not the stress, not the emotions. Some of the most respected and successful individuals are not the ones who know all the answers. They are the ones who can keep a level head when no one else can. They don't allow themselves to be controlled by circumstances. They don't let emotions dictate their actions. Instead, they take a step back, assess the situation, and respond with intention. And in doing so, they make better decisions, earn the trust of others, and create opportunities where others see only obstacles. This isn't about ignoring stress or pretending challenges don't exist. It's about managing them in a way that allows you to stay in control. Training your mind to remain calm doesn't mean you won't feel pressure. It means you won't let pressure dictate your actions. It's a shift from reacting to responding. It's the ability to stand firm when everything around you is uncertain. In every situation, you have two choices: react emotionally or respond with clarity. One leads to chaos, the other to solutions. And the difference between the two isn't luck or talent. It's the ability to stay calm. Because when you stay calm, you can see clearly. And when you can see clearly, you can lead yourself and others through anything. When faced with stress, uncertainty, or confrontation, the body reacts before the mind does. The heart beats faster, the muscles tense, and the breath shortens. This is a biological response, hardwired for survival. But in most situations today, we are not running from danger. We are navigating conversations, decisions, and challenges that require clear thinking. And yet, our bodies still react as if we are in imminent danger. The problem isn't the stress itself. Stress is inevitable. The problem is how we respond to it. Most people let stress take control. They speak before they think, act before they assess, and allow emotions to dictate their actions. But there's a way to break the cycle, a way to take back control, by mastering the breath. Breathing is something we do automatically, without thought. But when we become intentional about it, everything changes. A deep breath sends a signal to the brain: I am in control. It tells the nervous system to slow down, it lowers the heart rate, and it creates space between impulse and action. That space is where better decisions are made. Think about a time when you felt overwhelmed. Maybe it was a moment of high pressure at work, an argument with someone important, or a situation where everything felt like it was falling apart. What was your breathing like in that moment? Shallow, fast, erratic? That's not just a coincidence. The way we breathe affects the way we think. When breathing is rapid and uncontrolled, thoughts become scattered. When breath is deep and steady, the mind follows. This is why some of the most effective leaders, athletes, and performers train themselves to control their breath. It's not just about relaxation. It's about maintaining focus under pressure. A fighter in the ring, a surgeon in the operating room, a negotiator in a high-stakes deal, all of them rely on breath control to stay composed. And the good news? This isn't a skill reserved for the elite. Anyone can train themselves to use breath as a tool for clarity and control. The next time you feel tension rising, try this. Before you speak, before you react, before you let stress take over, inhale deeply through the nose, hold for a moment, and exhale slowly. Do it again if you need to. That simple act shifts your body from a reactive state to a controlled one. It brings you back to the present moment. Mastering your breath is mastering your mind. It's the difference between reacting impulsively and responding wisely, between losing control and staying grounded, between letting emotions dictate your actions and making choices with intention. The world moves fast. Pressure will always be there, but the one thing you can always control is your breath. And when you control your breath, you control the moment. Most people believe that emotions control them, that when anger rises, they must lash out. When fear creeps in, they must retreat. When frustration builds, they must vent. But the truth is, emotions don't control you unless you let them. Emotions are signals, not commands. They exist for a reason. Anger tells you something is unfair. Fear warns you of potential danger. Frustration signals that something needs to change. But just because an emotion shows up doesn't mean it gets to take the wheel. The most successful, most admired, and most effective people in the world are not the ones who never feel emotions. They are the ones who have learned to manage them. Think about the last time you made a decision out of frustration or fear. Maybe you sent an email you later regretted. Maybe you said something in a moment of anger that hurt someone you care about. Maybe you walked away from an opportunity because it felt uncomfortable. Looking back, would you have made the same decision if you had taken a step back and given yourself time to think? This is where self-awareness comes in. The ability to pause, recognize an emotion for what it is, and choose your response. It sounds simple, but it takes practice. Because emotions are powerful, they demand immediate action. They push us to react. But here's the key. Just because you feel something strongly doesn't mean you have to act on it immediately. The best leaders, the most composed individuals, they have a habit of pausing. When anger rises, they take a breath. When fear sets in, they assess the situation logically. When frustration builds, they shift their focus to solutions rather than complaints. They don't suppress emotions, they acknowledge them. They don't ignore feelings, they understand them, but they refuse to be controlled by them. This isn't about becoming emotionless. It's about learning to separate feeling from action, to recognize that an emotional response is just that. a response, not a decision. And the best way to master this skill? Start small. The next time you feel triggered by something, resist the urge to react immediately. Pause for just a few seconds. Take a breath. Ask yourself, is this how I want to respond? Is this helping me or hurting me? Over time, this practice becomes a habit, and when it does, everything changes. Conversations become more productive, decisions become more thoughtful, relationships become stronger. Because when you are in control of your emotions, you are in control of your life. The world will always throw challenges your way. People will frustrate you. Situations will test you. Stress will show up when you least expect it. But you have a choice. You can let emotions dictate your actions, or you can train yourself to respond with wisdom. One leads to regret, the other to growth. The choice is, in times of crisis, people don't look for the loudest voice. They don't look for the person who panics first. They look for the one who remains steady, the one who stays composed when everything else feels uncertain. The ability to stay calm under pressure isn't just a skill. It's what separates those who lead from those who follow. Think about the people you admire most. The leaders, the mentors, the individuals you trust in difficult times. Chances are they have one thing in common: they don't let stress dictate their actions. They don't react impulsively, they don't allow fear to drive their decisions. Instead, they stay calm, assess the situation, and act with intention. That's what makes them different. Anyone can be a leader when things are going well, but true leadership is revealed in difficult moments. When deadlines are closing in, when uncertainty is high, when tensions are rising, that's when real leaders emerge. And the reason they stand out isn't because they have all the answers. It's because they create an environment where solutions can be found. When people see someone who remains calm, it gives them permission to do the same. It shifts the energy from panic to problem solving. This is why calmness is such a powerful force. It doesn't just affect you, it affects everyone around you. A leader who stays composed during a crisis inspires confidence. A parent who remains patient during chaos teaches resilience. A teammate who doesn't break under pressure strengthens the entire team. Calmness is contagious. But here's the important part. This isn't about pretending things are fine when they're not. It's not about ignoring challenges or suppressing emotions. It's about recognizing that panic never leads to better outcomes, that reacting emotionally only makes problems harder to solve, that the best way to gain control of a situation is to first gain control of yourself. So how do you develop this ability? How do you train yourself to stay calm when pressure is high? It starts with awareness. The next time you feel stress building, take a second to recognize it. Pay attention to your breathing, your heart rate, the tension in your body. Instead of letting it consume you, slow it down. Take a breath. Ask yourself, what's the next best step? Not the next 10 steps, not the worst case scenario, just the next best step. This small shift changes everything. It turns overwhelm into clarity. It turns uncertainty into focus. It gives you control in a situation where most people feel powerless. And over time, as you practice this again and again, it becomes second nature. You become the person others look to in difficult moments. You become the steady presence that brings clarity instead of chaos. Because the truth is, life will always throw challenges your way. Pressure will always exist. But the way you handle it, that's entirely up to you. Calmness is not a trait some people are simply born with. It's not a special ability reserved for a select few. It's a skill. And like any skill, it can be developed, strengthened, and mastered with practice. The problem is most people don't think of calmness this way. They assume that staying calm is just about personality. Some people have it and some don't. But that's not true. The ability to remain calm in any situation is something you train for, just like you train a muscle. Think about a pilot. When turbulence hits, they don't panic, they don't freeze up or start shouting about the problem. They follow a process. They check their instruments, communicate with their team, and take the necessary steps to stabilize the aircraft. Why? Because they've trained for it. They've practiced handling difficult situations over and over again until calmness becomes their default response. The same principle applies to everyday life. If you wait until a crisis hits to try and stay calm, it's already too late. Just like a pilot doesn't wait for an emergency to learn how to fly in rough conditions, you can't wait for stress to arrive before learning how to manage it. You must train for it every day. So how do you do that? How do you train your mind to stay calm no matter what happens? It starts with small moments. The way you handle the little things in life determines how you'll handle the big things. If you can stay calm when stuck in traffic, you're training yourself for bigger moments of frustration. If you can keep your composure when plans change unexpectedly, You're building the muscle for handling real uncertainty. If you can take a deep breath before responding to criticism, you're developing the ability to stay collected under pressure. The challenge is that most people don't practice. They move through life reacting to everything without thinking. They get annoyed at minor inconveniences. They let stress build up until it overflows. They allow frustration, fear, or anger to dictate their actions. But those who train themselves to stay calm approach life differently. They treat every difficult moment as an opportunity to get better. Instead of letting stress control them, they see it as a chance to practice composure. Over time, this practice becomes a habit, and once it becomes a habit, it becomes who you are. When something goes wrong, you don't panic, you look for solutions. When tension rises, you don't add to the chaos, you bring stability. When others are overwhelmed, you remain clear-headed. This isn't about suppressing emotions or pretending everything is fine. It's about training your mind to respond with strength and clarity instead of fear and frustration. It's about preparing yourself for life's challenges before they happen, because the truth is, life won't always be easy, but if you train your mind to be calm, you'll be ready for whatever comes your way.